All right, welcome back to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton. Pleased to be joined by friend of the pod, special guest Jevon Lefebvre of the Left Side Heavy podcast. Jevon, what's going on, big guy?
I'm good, man. It's always an honor to come back on the Speak Your Piece podcast. I appreciate you having me.
It's a big deal. It's not quite as big of a deal as winning Saturday selections. People tell me that's also an honor and a privilege, but
yeah,
it's pretty close one way or the other.
Oh, 100%. It's something that always looks good on the resume. You know what I'm saying? You can add that to your collection of accolades, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something I tell my grandparents about. It's like, or my grandkids about, I won the Saturday selections. I went on the Speak Your Piece podcast.
You tell that to Brian at radio. He basically just said to Brian, he's like, yo, I was on Ian's podcast, Speak Your Piece. Like, and pretty cool, not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much we're going to be talking some football. We're going to be talking some hockey. We're just recording this after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 28-22 in a mediocre Thursday night football game. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it kind of was going as expected. Tampa got up a couple scores, and then I took a half-hour nap.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I really needed it. I wasn't feeling too good. And then, so I passed out. So I missed about a half hour of the game. I think I fell asleep right as Brady threw his interception.
Oh, at halftime.
Yeah, and then I kind of just... But Jalen Hurts playing, like, a very mediocre game, but his rushing touchdowns saved his stat line. You know what I'm saying?
He's like one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. Like not actually maybe a good quarterback, but he'll put up 20 points in fantasy, no problem.
Oh, he'll put up close to 30 on a night.
Yeah, pretty much on like read options, wide receiver screens, and speed options. He'll manage to put up 30 points.
Yeah, it's he's actually been one of the MVPs of my fantasy team this year, and I'm very happy to have him as my starting quarterback.
I had Brady tonight starting in our league, and he got me 24 points. That's not bad. Could use a little more action from Chris Godwin. I don't think that this game was really a surprise for anybody. I mean, the Bucs are the Bucs. They're Super Bowl champions. They're really good. They're, clinical, essentially. Especially in the passing game. Leonard Fournette is turning into one of the best assets at running back.
Yeah.
Did we learn anything from this game? Is there anything to take away from this game that's like, oh, I didn't know that?
Don't bet on the Bucs -7 because that's what I did, and they fucking won by 6. So I'm pissed. It ruined my parlay. I could have won $40, but they had to give up that 2-point conversion, and it totally fucked my whole entire night up, and I won't forgive them until they win me my next bet. But
I blame the Eagles and Nick Sirianni for trying to be. I don't know what Nick Sirianni. I feel like he's trying to be McVay or Brandon Staley, and he's but he's not him. He's not a poverty version, but he's a poor man's version of
he's he's the bootleg version. You know what I'm saying? It's he's the
Walmart.
He's the DH Gate version of Sean McVay.
Pretty much. And the Eagles were just awful for 45 minutes of this game. It was not good.
That taunting penalty really hurt them because as much as I hate the rule, it you can't be doing that because players have to be a little bit more aware that they are starting to call that, and even if you don't like the taunting penalty, you have to abide by it or else you can really hurt your team. And what linebacker did number 58 on the Eagles? I forget his name, but as soon as he tackled Fournette, he got up in his face and he celebrated, and they threw a flag, and it would have been a 3rd and long for Tampa, maybe even a 4th down, and he taunted and he gave Tampa a first down, and then they drove the field and took a knee. So he gave the Bucs a chance again when he could have got his team the ball back. So Yeah, that was one thing I noticed. It was like it's almost like the delay of game penalty in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like it's a stupid penalty. Players can complain when it is a penalty, but you know it's a penalty, so don't do it. It's something in your control. Abide by it, even if you don't like it,
Well,
right?
the best part is when so Mike Pereira, who's like the officials rule analyst or
Yeah,
whatever for Fox, was like he tried to like dumb it down by saying something along the lines of like make a play and walk away. Like
yeah,
that's how they're trying to get players to like follow these rules is by catchy sayings. And it's like you understand you're trying to change a whole like generation essentially of like
yeah,
mentality of celebrating a play, and you think you're gonna fix all that by saying make a play and walk away, like a
yeah,
catchy slogan is what's gonna
yeah,
solve this. No, it's just players are
yeah.
used to this, and you just created a stupid rule.
I don't like the penalty. Like I think it's a stupid, like taunting. Like come on, like the guys are putting their bodies through hell. Let them show some emotion after a play. Like I don't like the penalties, like the taunting penalties. I think it's dumb. Maybe do it if it's like super like out of this world taunting in his face, but if you're just getting face to face with someone, let the player show some emotion. Like it'll bring more asses to the seats. And the more they call these taunting penalties, I think it'll decrease ratings, in my opinion, which I don't think is a hot take at all. I think that's a very popular opinion that no one likes these taunting calls. But hey, man, he needs to know that it's a rule. So
I was gonna say, I think
unfortunately, he has to walk away.
I was gonna say the ratings are going up, like because the revenue and ratings are up whatever this year for the NFL in spite of these fucking taunting penalties. Like it's
Yeah,
not because people are like, "Oh, I'm glad number 55 on the Eagles got penalized. He was doing a bad thing." It's like, "No,
yeah,
like nobody gives a shit."
yeah, exactly.
So the Bucs are, I guess, contenders still. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, I
Um
don't. Even if they lost 2 games in a row, I still think they're Super Bowl contenders. Like he's with Brady. It's almost like obviously this isn't a hot take again, but he's like LeBron James. As long as he just makes the playoffs,
Look out.
there's no difference between first and eighth. You know, Tom Brady makes the playoffs. There's no difference between winning the NFC and making the wild card. As long as he gets in, he probably has an equal chance of making the Super Bowl. So as long as like Bucks are a playoff team, no matter what, they're gonna win their division. Doesn't matter. They could give up
They're
a few
fine.
games here. And there. Yeah, it's. I think no matter what, they're gonna be contenders. No matter what the record is, as long as they make playoffs, they're contenders.
The Eagles are, I would say this is the first year of their rebuild, and they're gonna have a painful. I don't know. I think the question I guess we have to figure out by the end of the year, we don't know this right now, or at least I don't know this right now, is if Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm. See, he's so hard to gauge. Like, is he good? I like he was like Andy Dalton. Like he's like Andy Dalton, like mid run on the Bengals. Like
Yeah.
when the Bengals were good, like was Andy Dalton actually like was he good or was he just a product of the system? Like is Jalen Hurts good or is he just getting garbage time stats and like he's only making plays because it's like he has to, like he has no other choice. Because when you look mid game and it's just a simple out route, he's overthrowing guys like left, right, and center. But when he has to make like a deep throw, like Watkins or Devontae Smith are pulling a wild catch out of their asses and making Hurts look good. Like I don't know, it's so hard to he's so hard to gauge, and I can't get a read on him.
So he had a 46% completion percentage tonight, 115 yards, touchdown, interception, sack twice. I wonder also if like he's just got a shit coach.
I don't know.
But I guess also being devil's advocate to my own point, it's like I think any player could like thrive under better coaching.
Yeah, I I think Jalen Hurts is good enough to be a starter, but not good enough to carry a team.
Is he like Goff?
Yeah,
Is
I
that what?
would I would put them in the same. I think
I
he's better. I'd rather have Hurts than Goff.
I think so. I think well
Cause
the problem too is that you also have like because Jalen Hurts is supposed to be this dual threat guy, right? He's supposed
which
to be
which he is. I think he's very sorry to cut you off, but I
no
think
no.
he's learning to be a more disciplined quarterback. He doesn't want his game to be one dimensional where all he is a running quarterback. And I can tell because he's had opportunities to scramble, but he's took as much time behind the line of scrimmage to look for a pass. And I think that's a very respectable look on him is that he's looking to be a quarterback. He's not looking to be like my only way of success is going to be running and using my legs. He's learning to throw the ball and actually make plays with his arm. But I mean, when he has to, I think he's a very good runner of the ball, and I think he can get you 7 yards for that first down. He's kind of like Russell Wilson. He might be a bit of a better runner than Russell Wilson because that's what he basically was at Alabama. But he's learning to be a lot more disciplined in the pocket, which is respectable.
He does remind me of like a young raw Russell Wilson, like Russell 2012 Russell Wilson, where
Yeah.
he's kind of figuring it out as long, along the way, but he doesn't have the support system of Pete Carroll in the defense to help or Marshawn Lynch at running back to like help him along the way. He has Miles Sanders, who we just give one handoff to each half and call that a running game. And the defense is not good either. But
Yeah.
that's the difference between having a strong foundation and a bad foundation, I guess, between Wilson and Hurts. But I was going to say the other thing I wanted to mention was, we see like Kyler Murray's obviously like an MVP candidate. Lamar Jackson's an MVP candidate. And those guys are dual threat guys who are really, coming together in their own. I don't know if people think that's what, Hurts should be is in that category, but I think he's like a lesser version of that when he's at his best and he's, when he's playing right. I think he's like a lesser version of what like Murray and Jackson should be.
Yeah, I think people put him in that category just because of the style of player he is, but like you said, I just think he's like a tier below them. I think what helps their case and what kind of puts them on another tier is consistency. They're a lot more consistent week to week, and Jalen Hurts sometimes feel like the game against the Falcons, despite Atlanta's defense, which is complete Swiss cheese. He balled out against them in week one, and he put himself on this pedestal that, is Hurts a franchise guy? Can he perform like this? And then you'll have a game like this where his stat line isn't that good, but his fantasy production is good, like 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown, but he only had 115 yards in the air. Like it's the consistency aspect that I think he has a problem with that puts him a tier below the Kyler Murrays and the Lamar Jacksons of the world, despite being the same type of player.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just a matter. Maybe it's like a new age NFL thing of like we're trying to find like total yards. Like instead of like worried about a dude's passing yards, it's like how many yards or what's his EPA or that.
Move the chains.
Yeah, like how efficient are you actually compared to just like, oh well, he threw for 350 yards, but he did like a Ben Roethlisberger where it's like, oh, he threw for like 300 yards, but it took him 50 passes to get to 300 yards. So.
Yeah, that guy's rinsed. Like he's.
Oh, tell me about it. As a Seahawks fan, I'll be happy to tell you that guy is trash.
Yeah, it's but I think the way like Brady operates, because he's not mobile at all. But I think the way that's helped him kind of play similar style to that is just quick 3-yard throws and then let the receivers do the rest, but then Tom Brady can also sling it 40 yards like on the money. So just Jalen Hurts, very good with his legs. I think he can, if he has like a solid team around him, then I think can maybe like bring them on a playoff run. It's just accuracy issues and just inconsistency Like he makes good throws, but sometimes he misses easy throws, and I think that he needs to work on that if he wants to kind of be a legit NFL quarterback in this league.
He feels like a guy who could quarterback a 9-win playoff team. Like that's
Yeah.
how he feels. That's who he feels like to
Yeah.
me personally.
Yeah. I would kind of compare the Philly Eagles to like the Ottawa Senators. You kind of get that? They got young talent on the team, like Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, Jalen Reagor, Jalen Hurts. Dallas Goedert isn't young, but he's not like completely washed like Zach Ertz. And then they got some suspicious defense that needs some work. They got a bright future. They're just not there yet. That's how I kind of put Ottawa.
I think Ottawa is closer to success than Philadelphia.
I would agree.
Probably like the early stages of Ottawa when they're like not that Philadelphia is like selling. I mean, I guess they sold off like Carson Wentz and like other people, and just because in the NFL you just let guys go, you don't really trade guys. It's not, you don't see it as frequently as like hockey, but it's maybe like early Senators of like we're just gonna get rid of everybody and we'll start from the ground up.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
We'll move on. We're gonna talk about the big news from this week, which is Jon Gruden is out, resigned. We're going to get into heavy topics, just like, on a Thursday night, just like, we all do. Gruden resigned on October 11th after it was revealed that he had used racist, misogynistic, and homophobic language in multiple emails between 2011 and 2018. When you saw, because this was coming out kind of like there's early stuff on last Friday about him saying a racist thing in an email back in 2011, and then Monday more stuff came out. It was kind of coming out during the Monday Night Football game.
Mm-hmm.
What were your immediate thoughts when you saw that Gruden was resigning and that this has really gotten serious?
I was kind of shook and taken back. I just can't believe someone would do what he did. I was very much taken back. I lost all respect for him. I felt happy that Mike Davis, is it?
Mark Davis, the owner.
Mark Davis. Yeah, Mike Davis is the running back for Atlanta.
Hell yeah.
Mark Davis. Glad he immediately went there and said, "Hey, you're done." You must be not so happy that it happened, but happy that he gets out of that contract. He doesn't owe him like $60 million anymore. But yeah, Bucs took him out of the Ring of Honor, which I think is appropriate. And it's just, I was very much surprised that he went about that because he carries himself well. And it's something I didn't expect from Jon Gruden. And yeah, I lost all respect for him. And you can say what you want about the NFL picks and chooses who they kick out and who they suspend for how long, X amount of years, whatever. But it doesn't matter that what Jon Gruden did was not right. And he deserved his punishment. He doesn't deserve to coach in this league if he wants to say stuff that he said.
I don't know. There is part of me that's like not really surprised. Like this feels like something that he like. I guess because you don't really know people, so you can't really you base your impressions off some people, and it's unfortunate but the league is still in this kind of realm of thinking it's okay to say all this sort of stuff. Especially when Carl Nassib, who's one of the defensive ends for the Raiders, came out over the summer as openly gay. It's really disappointing. I find it frustrating, like you talked about with the league kind of picking and choosing. I find it frustrating that Mark Davis. I mean, again, I'm sure he's not thrilled at how all this went, but I think there is a bit of disappointment in the fact that he's still like stuck with his guns of like going with it. He must like when he signed Gruden, he kind of knew, I think, something. Like, he kind of knew what he was getting into. Like, this is not a guy who didn't always have the greatest relationships with players or personnel in the league, and he still went and signed him to a 10-year deal. I think the NFL in a way is both a winner and loser in this, where they got out, they got one guy out, but there's, this whole sort of, not coordinated, but like, this happens in the league. Like, this is still happening now. Like, it's not like this is just one single incident of it happening. Like, it's still happening now. I feel the Raiders are losers in this one because they hired him and now they're dealing with the result of their actions, the consequences of their own actions.
Yeah.
Gruden's a loser in this. And in a way, I guess the biggest winner is the NFL because they get to look like in a PR sort of way that, hey, we're better than this. This isn't who we are.
Yeah. I'm just like, if they've been getting these emails and sort like everything, then why didn't this come sooner?
It's too much. There's too much power for some of these guys. Like, Gruden has too much influence in too many connections in the business, I think. And that's part of the whole problem, I think. It's like the power struggle between the old boys club of some of these guys and the commissioner of football, who's probably the most powerful man in North American sports.
Yeah.
So, I think the takeaways from this are: don't be a racist, don't be a misogynist, don't be a homophobe. Don't use that language. That language is not appropriate. Be better than that. I think we can all be better than that. It takes all of us. I know it's just a silly marketing term on one hand, but it's also like, hey, we all have a role in playing to, make this sport that we like and enjoy better.
Exactly.
So
very well said.
Speaking of which, Urban Meyer also got into a bit of controversy a few weeks ago. We haven't discussed that on the podcast. Did you talk about Urban Meyer?
Yeah, I did slightly with Corey on episode 61, but yeah, he was digging for gold, eh? He was he was digging for loose change, but what was he doing? Like, why?
Did he not look like some like college student who was in he's in the archaeology program and he's going out on a Friday night with all of his buddies?
Looks like that one like creepy dude who's been divorced 3 times, who's like just had his luck run out once again, and he's doing everything he can to get back in the game.
He's using really awful pickup lines like, hey, are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see. Like, he's using shit like that on women 20 years younger than him.
And he definitely calls like bartenders sweethearts. And, he's like that type of guy. He's like, yeah, I'll get a whiskey, sweetheart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Put it on my tab.
Yeah, he's that guy. And how did he get into that situation? I just want to know how he got from point A to point B. Like, point A was post-game against Cleveland, right?
Cincinnati.
They were in Cincinnati. I knew they were in Ohio. Cincinnati. How did he get from there to there? What happened in between that made him be in that position? He said like he waited around to see friends or whatever. It was like, then what are you doing?
What friends are you waiting around to see?
Yeah, you're caught in 8K, Urban. I thought it was just like a meme. Like,
I thought it was fake. I'll be honest. When I saw the video at first, I'm like, oh, this is a deep fake or something.
Yeah, I thought it was fake too. And then like reports come out that he apologized, and I'm like, shit. And then like Corey on the podcast, he was like, yo, so like Urban Meyer. And I was like, was that actually him? And he was like, yeah, it was Urban Meyer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is an NFL coach. No, he comes back like after the season. There's no way.
Oh, well, just imagine if like some player was caught doing that. You know that scene in Moneyball? You see Moneyball, right? With like Brad Pitt and
Uh,
Oakland A's.
a while ago, but it's a really good movie. But the
When they're in like the fucking locker room at the end of a loss, and Billy, like, what one of the dudes is like dancing on the table, and Billy Bean has to come and throw his bat.
oh yeah,
Like somebody had to do that. Like somebody should have done that at the bar and like throw a bat at a like karaoke machine and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah, or just like go up to Urban and be like, "Yo, big fan. Can I have an autograph?" Not with that hand though. The other one.
Um,
just so that everyone knows, like, we know it's you, bud. It's like it's no secret anymore. It's out.
apparently he's lost all respect in the locker. He's lost the locker room. Allegedly.
It's like he could be gone within weeks, and he's definitely not back at the end of the season.
If so, here's the thing. So this weekend, this Sunday, they're playing the Dolphins in London. Poor people of England having to watch the Dolphins and the Jags. If you lose that game or you get blown out in that game, you're fired.
If you get blown out by Jacoby Brissett, you should be gassed.
Like you gotta be fired, don't you?
Like, this is a game where Trevor Lawrence should have his best game of the season.
Ideally, yeah.
Like, it's come down to that. The Patriots are somehow the second best team in the AFC East. Their offense is horrendous. Miami should be a lot better than they are right now. And like, I would say they're really missing Tua, but are they missing Tua that much? Like, Tua isn't really performing up to standards. And it's just like nothing's like everyone's firing off cylinder, and like the Jags should have their best game of the season against Miami, especially in such a dominant atmosphere, because England for some reason decided to choose the Jags. That was a big miss on that one. But yeah, so they should win. If they get blown out, then I really think Urban Meyer could be gone.
So their upcoming schedule. So they play the Dolphins this weekend. They have a bye after this because it's a London game. So they have a bye.
Yeah.
They go to Seattle on Halloween, which that could be a winnable game considering the Seahawks defense and
Geno Smith, baby.
We're rolling. We're rolling with Geno. They're playing the Buffalo Bills on November 7th in Jacksonville. They are at Indianapolis November 14th. They host San Francisco November 21st. They're hosting Atlanta November 28th. And then they got a sweet back-to-back here with the Rams and the Titans in week 13 and 14 in LA and then in Nashville. This team is set up for disaster. They're already 0-5. I think Trevor Lawrence actually looks okay in a mediocre offense that doesn't.
Yeah, he's not getting any help. You want to take?
I'll take this. What's a hot take you got? Throw me a hot take.
Hear this? They should go after Mike Williams this offseason. Give Trevor Lawrence that 50-50 receiver.
Yeah. You know what I think? You know what? Here's my thing. I don't mind that because I think you're just adding another weapon, which I think would help. As a Seattle Seahawks fan, seeing that they're... Pardon me?
They need no line.
They need no line, but it's like your offensive coordinator is legendary Darrell Bevel, who... That's your OC, and your passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach is Brian Schottenheimer, who just got fired by the Seahawks the year before. So, not great either. I don't mind that. Like the actual wide receiver weapons they have. I mean, Marvin Jones is like fine. Laviska Shenault, fine.
I like him because you can throw him at tight end or receiver. Like one of those Swiss Army knives is actually like very valuable to have. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can throw him at pitcher and then throw him in right field after he's done. You know what So, Shenault, like, you can throw him, like, beside the tackle, and you can he can be that extra guard in the run game, but then he can also bounce outside and he can be a big body receiver. DJ Chuck, I'm always a huge fan of. Unfortunately, he suffered a injury. Was it a fracture? Did he fracture his ankle?
I think so.
It was. I
It
thought
was
he.
it was no bueno. I'll tell you that much. It was
Yeah,
not good.
yeah. I thought he like broke something. So it was. I believe it was an ankle or. But yeah. I don't. They desperately need no line though. They immediately lost when they took Etienne instead of like
Another
an offensive lineman.
another position outside of
Yeah.
running back.
Yeah. James Robinson, our undrafted rookie running back, just had an unreal season, top 5 in rushing yards. Let's draft another one.
Oh, and we also
that
signed
makes sense.
we also signed Carlos Hyde in the offseason too. But
The oldest, youngest running back I've ever seen in my life, Carlos Hyde. He's like the Randall Cobb of running backs.
I can get behind that.
Randall Cobb, I always thought for the longest time he was like 38 years old. But he like just turned 30 like this year.
It's funny you mentioned that because we're recording this on the same day we did our NBA preview with our SYP creator Fuji. And I just learned today that Dante Exum is only 26 years old on Portland. And I'm like, that dude's at least 30. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what certificate are we forging here that says that he's 26? It's the I am 12, but it's actually Exum at 20.
I don't know if you saw this, but that Little League pitcher, did you see him?
Oh, that dude.
He had like 80 innings pitched, 114 strikeouts, 1 hit. It's like this kid is not 12 years old or however old the little leaguers are. He is at least like 19. Like there is no way that he is 114 strikeouts before the tournament even finished. Like, yeah, that's Carlos Hyde. He's like it seems like he's so much older than he is, but he's what, 28? It's like, yo, no, you're 35. Like, I don't care what you say, you're 35. Like,
you've been playing in this league for at least 10 years, and I refuse to accept otherwise.
Yeah, but anyways,
so Urban's getting canned by the end of the year.
Yeah, I thought like, because I'm not a huge fan of firing coaches after 1 year, because it's like, it's not like Jacksonville was a contender and they're 0-5 because of you. Like Jacksonville didn't really have a hope bringing Urban Meyer in.
I think when we did our preseason over-unders, I think we both took the under on the Jags this year anyways.
Yeah, like I didn't think, like, what sucks is because like Trevor Lawrence, everyone's putting him on this pedestal and everyone has these expectations of him, but he's on Jacksonville, so it's going to seem like he underperformed, but he's on Jacksonville. He has no O-line, and no O-line weapons are useless because you don't have time to throw. The Jacksonville defense sucks. And so, Jacksonville is going to suck. They're going to be a top 5 pick no matter what, right? But the Urban Meyer video, that does not help at all. He lost the locker room. He's like, he has no really respect. I think if they can be competitive, then they might ride him out to the end of the season, and then like instead of firing Urban Meyer, they might, part ways, like
mutually part ways, right?
And then he'll go coach college again or something, because college, like, for some reason they don't care about coaches.
No, they only care about money in college.
Yeah,
there isn't respect like there is in the NFL.
Yeah, but I think Jacksonville needed to attack that offseason a bit better, like the way the Jets did it. I know the Jets are going to be like pretty bad, but at least when they drafted their franchise QB, they drafted an O-line offensive lineman later in that first round.
Their left side is set on the Jets.
Yeah, like they attacked it right. You don't draft a running back when you already have one. Like
when you already had one and then signed another, you don't need another one.
Like it doesn't matter. Oh, we're going to use him as a third down back. Well, then why are you drafting him in the first round? The Patriots didn't even draft third down back in Ramondre Stevenson, and he's gonna be good. We may have drafted him like in the later rounds, but
I think I picked him up in one of our fantasy leagues.
Yeah, so like Yeah, they just attacked it wrong, and I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence because he immediately got tossed into a dumpster fire. Yeah, you're first overall, but you're in Jacksonville.
You got to live in North Florida. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, congrats. You're
Um,
gonna suck for the next 15 years, no matter what you do.
I really have a tough time believing that Urban stays after this year. I
I,
think I hear the thing. I think it's it's never too early to make the right decision. There's never a bad time to make the right decision. And I feel like that's the move with Urban Meyer. It's never, if they lose this weekend, if they lose badly this weekend, I think it's not a bad idea to pull the plug on that. Just say it didn't work. Like I think people will respect you for saying it didn't, like for admitting failure.
Yeah, I respect you for trying, but it just didn't work out. And sometimes you just have to do what's best. Because the longer you have them within that locker room, the worse it's gonna get. The worse they're gonna perform. It's just, yeah, I don't know. But so like that's Urban Meyer. But one coach that a lot of people had being fired within the first season, who's performed way above expectations, is Dan Campbell. I want to touch on him a bit.
My thing with Campbell, I think that team has fewer weapons than the Jags, and yet they still are competitive. What was the stat that they posted this week about how like the Lions are the first team to lose on like multiple 50+ yard field goal attempts at the last second?
Yeah, they almost came back against the 49ers in week 1. They were competitive, I believe, against Green Bay until
they were competitive for like a half.
Yeah, until Rodgers decided to start trying and then he took off. They should have beat Baltimore because that play clock definitely ran out 3 seconds prior to the snap. And then the 66, like you saw like how emotional Dan Campbell was after their last week. Like he was crying because it's like, what more can he do? Like he's coaching a very fraud team to be like competitive in like almost every single game this season so far. So I think he's changed the culture in Detroit, and I'm glad to see it.
I was gonna say they've lost by 1 possession in 3 games this year, and those 3 losses by 1 possession were to the 49ers at home in week 1, which that game they got blown out early and then decided to make a run at the end.
The score made it seem closer than the game actually was.
And then they lost to the Ravens, and then they lost to the Vikings. They got the Bengals this weekend. They are going to the Rams for week 7. That's probably another loss. They're hosting the Eagles week 8. That seems like a possible winning week for them.
Yeah.
Atlanta week 16. And I think part of it too with the Lions is that they're just trying to get over whatever Matt Patricia left.
Yeah.
Like whatever dumpster fire he left, I think Matt Campbell and the rest of the team is just trying to recover from that. And they're doing a great job, all things considered.
Boy, did that Patricia experiment not work out.
That you talk about a coach who you just admitted a mistake early on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. Did you see that Dan Campbell quote?
Which one?
No? Oh, I'm going to try and find it. Give me a second. I need to find this.
I was going to say, we'll get back to the Campbell thing. Do you want to go to picks for the weekend, or do you want to talk hockey?
Oh, let's do picks.
All right, let's do picks. So pretty much what we're going to do here, Jevon and I each have 3 games that we want to talk about this weekend for whatever reason. I have 3 games that I want to talk about for various reasons. We're going to give our picks against the spread. I don't know if we'll do this. Maybe we'll do this like in a couple months when we get back on the podcast, but I'm not a big gambling guy either. Like I don't place bets, but I know there's a few people who do. So we're going to, do a little, betting against the spread for y'all. We're going to use FanDuel Sportsbook because they should be sponsoring this podcast. I don't know why they aren't. I'm pretty sure FanDuel sponsors like any sort of sports and recreation podcast pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Do you got the quote on Campbell?
Yeah, I do. Dan Campbell had some interesting things to say at the presser today. This was tweeted on October 4th. Coffee doesn't get the job done anymore. I've progressed to harder stuff. It's been snowing in Allen Park. I'll have to leave it at that.
Are you?
Coach of the year, baby. Let's
Can
go.
you just repeat that one more time just for
Yeah.
everybody?
um, Coffee doesn't get the job done anymore. I've progressed to harder stuff. It's been snowing in Allen Park. I'll have to leave it at that.
And again, for those who don't know, Allen Park is the home of the Detroit Lion headquarters. Fuck me. That's awesome.
Oh man. Coach of the year.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up FanDuel right now.
We're gonna do 3 games. You want me to pick the first game? I got 3 games I want to talk about, or do you want to go first? You are the guest. You probably should go. First. You are the guest.
I have to bring it up real quick. So you can go ahead and then I can see here.
All right. First game I want to discuss is Minnesota Carolina.
Okay.
So Carolina right now are +2.5 underdogs at home. I think Carolina is maybe falling off a little bit. Back-to-back losses to the Cowboys on the road, Eagles at home. I still think they're good. I don't know if they're maybe as good as we thought they were. Maybe Sam Darnold is just okay. That they should have beat the Eagles. That was a bad loss to the Eagles. Like the Cowboys loss, I think is a fair loss. You just got crushed. The Eagles won. That's a game that you should have won. Especially watching on Thursday Night Football, it's like, oh yeah, we should have beat that team.
Yeah. Carolina, like Sam Darnold's definitely looked much improved. He still makes like some mistakes, but I think he's been looking a lot more competent when he has a half decent team around him. So I'm assuming are you picking Carolina to cover?
I think so. I think I'd take Carolina +2.5. I think at home, I think Joe Brady can out-scheme Mike Zimmer. And I don't know if the Vikings are even as good. I mean, I think the Vikings are like fine. They're like no more than fine. And I think that's what the ceiling is on this team. It's just being a fine team. That's why I like Carolina. I think Carolina is a fun team to root for anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if you got this one on your slate. I'm going to shift it to my pick. Buffalo -5.5 over Tennessee.
I do have that on my slate, and I think that's a good pick.
Like, Tennessee is so vulnerable. Like, Buffalo's defense has been unreal, and I mean that offense is like top 3 in the league. It's like I think -5.5 is like free money, in my opinion.
That feels like
I think Buffalo should win by more than a score, especially with how terrible that Tennessee defense is.
I was gonna say that feels like a 2-touchdown game for Buffalo.
Yeah,
with Allen,
at least,
who just is like playing like he's in a video game right now.
Yeah, like if they can put up what they did against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs defenses suck, and they have a better offense than Tennessee, then I think they can do some damage against Tennessee this week.
I think that's a fair pick.
Yeah.
Go Josh Allen. Go Bills. My next game that I want to discuss, I want to talk about the Chiefs and the Washington football team here.
Chiefs -6.5.
Yeah, I think this is a revenge game for the Chiefs. I feel like, they got blown out at home. It was an embarrassing loss last week.
Yeah.
They're going up against a Washington football team who I'm really disappointed in. Like, that's probably my biggest disappointment this season is Washington.
I agree.
Their defense is just their pass rush is underwhelming and they're not covering guys. I think there's a little bit of, sting still with Fitzmagic not playing. If I was putting money on this, I'd probably take the Chiefs at -6.5, just because I think there's some revenge coming in Washington. Patrick Mahomes, by the way, I think Patrick Mahomes is also pretty good I think he's also a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah,
He'll be special one day.
he's got potential.
Yeah. My game.
Yes.
Cardinals plus 3.5 against Cleveland.
Ooh.
I think Arizona's defense is pretty good, and Cleveland's defense has been underperforming. You know, their game against LA was close, and they gave up 45 or 47 points against them. And I think Cardinals being the underdogs in this is kind of a little bit disrespectful, with them being, I believe, still undefeated. Or did they lose last week?
No, they're undefeated.
Yeah, they're still undefeated. So I think they still deserve their flowers. I think they should be favorites in this game. I still think Cleveland's a very good team, but I think it's going to be within a field goal. Like, I think it could be someone's down 2 and a field goal wins the game kind of thing. So even if Cleveland does win, I think that Arizona is going to cover the 3.5 point spread.
The fascinating thing about the Browns is the fact that they clearly have an identity and how they like to play and how they like to do things. Is Baker Mayfield good?
I was just about to say,
like,
I don't know.
Like, if the Browns this offseason, because Baker's contract's up, right? Could the Browns go and get an improvement over Baker? Like, I guess you have to go through a rankings and you have to find who you think is better than Baker. I don't know if you do if you're the Browns. I think if you're the Browns,
I think you have to keep him because it's the first you finally found like a stable quarterback for your team after having have you seen the amount of quarterbacks they've had over the past 10 years? They've had 30 quarterbacks.
That guy has not had to, that jersey that guy has, he hasn't had to add a new name for 2 years and it's going great.
Yeah. So I think you have to keep Baker. If it's at a completely outrageous cost, then do what you want. But he's finally provided stability to the franchise, so I think you do keep him around.
He's also embraced the city. He's been a real big fan of Cleveland and the Dog Pound, which I think means something.
Yeah,
which I agree. I don't think you can deny. My last game I'm going to mention, just because you're on here, I'll go Patriots plus 3.5 underdogs at home against the Cowboys. I think the Patriots, we were texting about Mac Jones last week, and there's parts of this game that I really like. He reminds me of I don't want, it feels like a cliche, but he does remind me of a young Brady where he's very smart. He's very accurate. He knows where he wants to go with the football. Sometimes it doesn't always work out because it turns out the guy is in double coverage, but in the way he moves too, how he's throwing the ball, it just reminds me of Brady a little bit. I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Brady because that's unfair to him, but I feel like the Patriots, if they can just run the ball effectively, Mac makes, the same plays that he did, against Tampa Bay, where it's just quick, easy, no big plays, just short, efficient passes. I feel like the Cowboys are going to get upset on the road here in Foxborough.
I was looking at that game and I was like, do I bet against my boys? I'm not actually going to put money against my guys because I'm just not going to do that to my mental health. But
it's a fair play.
I mean, Cowboys, that offense is buzzing, and I'm very weary on Trevon Diggs because yes, he has the most picks, but he's also given up the most yards in the league. And
hit or miss.
Yeah, so it's he's either getting burnt for 94 yards, but he'll have a pick to his name, so that'll kind of override everything. But my last game, and this surprises me that they're underdogs. The Chargers plus 2.5 against the Ravens. I know the Ravens are a very good team, and Lamar Jackson, I've learned to accept that he is a good quarterback. I was always kind of weary on him, but he finally proved it last game against the Colts that he's an NFL quarterback and he's legit, and I've come to accept that, and I'm admitting that I'm wrong. But I mean, did you see Herbert last week?
He's pretty good too.
Like, I think overall the Browns are better than the Ravens. I think they're deeper. I think they have better weapons, a better run game. I mean, despite Lamar, but like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, like they're two top 10, top 8 backs in your backfield, like, and they're producing every week. And that defense is better on paper. Mind you, Baker might be holding them back, but I got Chargers plus 2.5. I think they're going to come in and I think they're going to beat the Ravens.
I would definitely hit the
Baltimore.
over in that game. That's a game like at 51.5. I'm definitely hitting the over on that one.
Yeah.
That could get to quite frenzy in a matter of minutes.
I have a question. How do you Seahawks are plus 5.5 against Pittsburgh?
I would take that partially because I feel like they're just really good in prime time.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, I think the Steelers, that's a bit of a stretch. Minus 5.5. Like, I know Russ is out, but Geno Smith was like he was decent in coming in for Russ. Like he was good, and that pick was like Lockett fell, and like it was just like an easy interception. But I thought he like came in and like I think Seattle could easily cover.
The other thing about
win.
The other thing about that game is that they've had 10 days off. They basically like haven't played since last Thursday against the Rams. They are one of the best teams in prime time. And I think Gino was listening to my brother on Sunday or last Thursday, where my brother is just like, oh yeah, why don't you just throw it to DK? Just throw the ball to Metcalf.
Yeah.
And Gino did that. He's just like, fuck it, Metcalf somewhere. And I think the Steelers are also like a really easy team to go up against. Like the Steelers like offense is RPOs, slants, a draw maybe.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's no deep ball. Jamal Adams you can use to pressure Big Ben. You don't have to play Jamal Adams in coverage. You can pressure Adams on Ben. Juju is not playing, which helps. This is the Seahawks primetime. Like they're always fucking close. The Seahawks never play any sort of like.
Are they primetime though?
I think so. I think with Pete Carroll, I'm convincing. Here's the thing: I'm convincing myself while I'm saying this to you. Like I'm telling myself this while I'm saying it to you. So it's like it's got the double effect. But yeah, they might win. I'm
asking like I don't think it's a primetime game.
No, it's Sunday
night. It's
Sunday
1:25.
No,
this is Eastern time, baby.
No, it's Sunday night
Eastern time, baby. Sunday at 4:25 Eastern.
No, it's Sunday. Like it's 8. Like it's Sunday night. The Seahawks are on Sunday Night Football with the Steelers. Look down one. You got to go down. If you're looking on FanDuel, you got to go down.
I'm looking at the time above.
Yeah, no,
above the teams.
Yeah, no, you got to look down.
That's my bad, baby.
Hey, you know what? Have you seen that? The All or Nothing? Have you seen the Maple Leafs?
I haven't.
Well, because they're talking about like Stanley Cup habits. We got to have Stanley Cup habits. Like Keith was just saying that repeatedly. Like you got to have Stanley Cup habits. Like that's what you're doing. You're practicing. You're getting better for those Stanley Cup habits. That's what you're doing, man. I actually Seahawks at money line at plus 194. I don't think that's not the worst money line play you could go for either.
Yeah, I agree.
That's football. We got a bit of time for hockey.
Of course, baby. Always.
All right. First, I think we should start with the Red Wings just absolutely blowing a 6-3 lead in the third period.
2 3-goal leads they blew.
Not great.
Multiple 3-goal leads they blew.
Not great. Hey, listen, I liked their game overall, except for them losing. Dylan Larkin took a swing at Matthew Joseph, which I'm all in favor of.
Oh, I saw that. That was fucking right, Larkin. I like that from him. Why not?
Why not? Who the fuck cares? Just do it.
Yeah.
Tyler Bertuzzi scored 4 goals tonight.
Yeah.
Which he's on. I think he's on. Somebody said he's on pace for like 293 goals, which won't happen because he's not allowed to play in Canada because he's anti-vax. But whatever. Shit happens, I guess. And
I just realized that Detroit had 3 separate 3-goal leads in this game.
Yes, sir.
3-0, 4-1, and 6-3.
Yep.
And they lost 7-6 in overtime.
Not great. Not great, man. Not great.
I remember in the offseason, I was like, trade of the offseason, Nedeljkovic for a 3rd-round pick. Opening night, he gives up a 6-7 spot.
Gives up a touchdown.
Yeah. Touchdown and an extra point.
Did you watch the Canucks game on Wednesday against the Oilers?
I watched.
You watched the good part when they came back at the end?
Yeah, I was over at my Nana's house and I was getting some intel for an assignment. And the game just came on and I was kind of talking to her, and then I had to drive home from Langley, so I missed like half of the second. But I think they played a fucking good game. And Edmonton, they have McDavid and Draisaitl. That's all you gotta say for that team, right? They can go off for a ton of goals at any night. And the storyline for the Canucks is they have a good offense, but is their defense going to be how it should be? And I think they played a very good defensive game. I think OEL proved a lot of guys wrong. I know it's just game 1, but I think proved a lot of people wrong. And Demko is the truth. So I like the Canucks going forward. Yeah, we lost, but I mean,
you should make the playoffs. How about that?
Yeah, I have them top 3 in the Pacific.
Yeah, I do.
Behind Edmonton and Vegas. But no, I like. They look fast. They look strong. I'm excited for them, and I think people are still somehow sleeping on Demko.
Were you surprised that Connor Garland seemed to fit in right away? It looked like OEL actually was fitting in. Tyler Myers had maybe his best game as a Canuck.
Yeah, everyone hated him because he was so overpaid. He sucked, but as soon as he laid out Duncan Keith, everyone forgave him.
That buys him like 3 games worth of immunity.
More.
I was gonna say you're driving back from Langley. Were you listening on Sportsnet 650 with friend of the pod Brendan Batchelor? Because we both have sort of met Brendan virtually. Have you met Brendan in person?
No, I haven't.
I haven't met him in person either. I sort of remember him going to Giants games, but
we should get him for an in-person pod.
I'd be down for that. He
just like flood his DMs.
Yo, Brendan, what's going on? Like, hey, I know you're busy with the hockey season and all, but do you want to come on a podcast?
Yeah. I might have to. I just realized that I had Jeff Patterson on. I gotta release that within the next couple episodes.
That's a subtle flex.
Yeah, I had to get some of your demographic over to me. You know what I'm saying? I have to tease him something, right?
I like to get Drance on a podcast. I feel like Drance would be like a really good interview, but I'm sure like he's one of the more popular guys, so it's a bit tougher to get.
I sent him a DM, kind of like shooting for the stars. Just like, who knows? Maybe he does respond, right? Like, you never know. I did the same thing with Patterson and Rob Fay, and they sent replies. I was like, the worst they can say is no, and then you just go away. But if they say yes, then
you got a connection.
Exactly. But to go back to the Canucks opening night, I think one guy that had a really good game and someone I was really impressed with was Tucker Poolman. And because I think that was the more random signings I've ever seen in Canucks history, was the Tucker Poolman, because it was such like it was a hefty term, and
it's like bringing back the Roussel and Beagle, but on defense.
Yeah, it was like 4 years, $10 million, and I'm like, that's a very random contract to give out. But I saw him and he was solid. He was getting the pucks out in clean breakouts. He was very solid defensively. And he was doing what he was brought in to do, just to be a solid top 4 guy. You don't have to stand out in any like offensive manner. Just be a solid piece that someone can rely on. And I think like he's gained the trust of the players just by looking at him in the first game. He's gained my trust. And I think that was he looked very good to me. Like, because I saw this poll and it was like, after the first night, who was the most impressive Canuck that you saw? And it was between OEL, Garland, Poolman, and Dickinson. And yes, OEL played very good. He scored. He kickstarted the comeback. Garland was like, he was a buzzsaw out there. But I voted Poolman because I just think that he was the guy that came in with very like high but like silent expectations. Like no one really knew what to expect. But I think he played a very good game, and OEL has had the talent in the past. Like he has that to his game.
He's done this before.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I think the stigma of being in Arizona really impacted his play. And I said that when he was brought over. People were shitting on his advanced analytics, and he wasn't performing that well in Arizona. And I'm like, he hated it there. He wants to come to Vancouver. I think that's going to really help his play, and I think it showed that. But like you said, he's done this before. I didn't really know what to expect from Poolman, and I was very happy with how he played. So to me, he was my most impressed newcomer on the Canucks opening night, just because, like I said, I didn't really know what to expect, and I was very pleased with how he played.
I watched that game from start to finish, and I was actually like mildly impressed. I saw them play the Kraken in the preseason game in Vancouver and was a little bit underwhelmed, and then saw them against Edmonton. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver looked like hot garbage in the preseason, but I mean, it's preseason. Like obviously
I was going to say, that's why you have preseason.
Yeah.
To look like hot garbage.
Yeah. You have to take a bit of that into account, but like doesn't really matter. I think preseason's too long. Like 6 games, like make it 4 and then get the season started. That's my opinion, but we can move on.
Well, basically for the Canucks, you just need to have like 2 home games, or 2 games against the Oilers and 2 against the Flames, or 2 against the Kraken.
Or just be Carolina and don't play all your preseason games.
Exactly. That's actually a really smart thing. It's CBA mandated, but you don't actually have to do it, guys.
Yeah. I didn't know that they schedule their own preseason games.
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't know that.
The NFL teams do too.
That stood out to me because I listened to 32 Thoughts and like that came up, and I was like, they schedule their own. I thought it was just like, hey, here's your schedule, like deal with it. I didn't know that they schedule their own games, so it makes sense as to why they only scheduled like 4 games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Other NHL news: Brady Tkachuk, as we record this, he re-signed with the Senators, 7 years, $57.5 million. That seems like a good deal. I like Brady Tkachuk. I think he's a good player. I wonder if because part of it, the reason it didn't get signed was because he wanted a price. He wanted a certain price, and then
he wanted a bridge, but they wanted term.
Yeah, and he basically was just like, I wonder if you said he wanted a bridge, he wanted a few years. I wonder if he will play the trade me card. Like, I don't want to play here anymore, just trade me. Like, if things really go bad in Ottawa, if things don't go like we think they will, and they'll be a successful team here soon, I wonder if he'll play the trade me, I don't want to play here anymore card.
Also, like, my thing is, like, if he wanted a bridge, he wanted to see how the first 3 years went about his contract, and then he can maybe like go about, okay, like things aren't really working out, and then maybe it kind of gives him a chance to make more money. Because when contracts, the way they're done is, what have you done for me lately? And say he's like one of the top 30 player in the league after the 3 years. He's like, hey, now I deserve a raise. So then he signs a long term and he's making more money. But if he 8 years, he's good for 5 of them, and then the last 2 years he's not that good, then he's gonna not get paid the same money that he was getting paid before. So my thing was like, kind of like in the NBA when they don't want to sign the max, and then like right after that, then they sign the super max so they get more money or whatever. I feel like that was him. He's like, I don't want to go long term because then maybe I can get more money after the 3 years. That was my idea, and then he can kind of gauge of where the Senators are at and if it's gonna work out, and if he still wants to be there.
I think it's also a great move just skipping the preseason. Like I thought that was I was joking with one of my buddies about how, Quinn and P just didn't want to be in Abbotsford. Like it's just like fuck, like we don't mind being in preseason, but we're not playing in the fucking Abby games. All right. We're not traveling to Spokane to play Seattle.
Yeah,
We're not going to Abbotsford. Do you know what kind of commute that is? Fuck that shit.
yeah, we're not playing in the boonies. Like, what am I doing? I'm playing in a cornfield. Why? Like, what am I doing here? Like,
I don't even know where the arena is in Abbotsford.
same here.
So pretty much that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe Brady's just like, fuck, I'm not playing in the preseason. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play regular season games for you guys. So congrats to Brady. He got the bag. Now I guess he's gonna try and go win a ring with the Senators.
I mean, they've done the rebuild right, in my opinion. I'm still skeptical on their goaltending. Like, I don't like Matt Murray. And who's their other goalie? Like Gustafson?
Hey, Antoine Forsberg was their starter tonight.
Forsberg, that's who it is.
And
but
I want to see what he had.
I mean, they beat Toronto. So
yeah, that's the thing is that the sickos are back in Ottawa.
Yeah. So their goaltending's a little questionable, but I still like, they got Brandstrom, they got Shabbat, and then they got Brady, Norris. Like, I like the young talent that they have on their team, and I think they can be a really frisky team. And like, that's why I said maybe they could be like, yeah. So that's why I kind of relate them to Phillies. Like, they could be like competitive in some games, but they might not find success early. But I do agree with you that they're like more prime for success now than the Eagles. But I'm excited to see how Ottawa plays this year, especially now that we don't have to play them in our division, so I can actually cheer for them.
I will say one thing that Ottawa has going for itself is that they went back to the 2D logo. Their unis actually look decent.
I love that logo.
So I'll give them credit there.
Yeah.
They did a nice job with that. Other news in the hold on, I just want to see Antoine Forsberg. He stopped 46 of 48.
Is that good?
I think so. Against a Leafs team that I don't know if they are good.
I mean, they're losing. Was Marner playing?
I don't think so.
Like, they're losing Marner and Matthews. So, I mean, those are like two very, very, very good players.
Yeah, those guys are pretty good as well.
Yeah. So
could be worse, I guess, if you're the if you're the Senators. Gabriel Landeskog, he got suspended 2 games for his hit on Kirby Dach. That was not a good look.
No, it was a very bad hit, and I think you can almost say that he got away with 2 games. I think he could have gotten more. I think it was very unnecessary. It didn't need to happen. Dach was in a very vulnerable position. And it was kind of just like, yo, the play's dead. You dumped the puck in. Why do you have to run him when he's on his knees and he's defenseless.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he might be aware of the hit, but you can't protect yourself from the knees. You can have no stability. And he's the dangerous distance away from the boards. Like a foot away from the boards is like the worst distance you could be when taking a hit. Either go open ice or be pinned up against the boards. But he had momentum. Like, he was a foot away from the boards. Landeskog he drove from his legs down through Dach and just absolutely crushed him. And I just, like, it was super unnecessary, and he got away with 2 games, in my opinion. You could have given him like 5 for that. Like, I know it's like, it was just like the vulnerable position of Dach. Like, it was just, it could have been worse.
Yeah, I feel like he got off with a bit of a warning there.
Yeah, I think he got lucky with 2 games.
So we'll see if how it works out the next time these guys play.
Yeah.
And Doc, obviously, that's his first game because he missed all of last year with a
Yeah.
wrist injury.
But I'm pretty sure he came back late in the season last year. I'm pretty sure he did. But
there's been so much that's happened in the last year that I honestly could not tell you if he did.
I think he came back very late last year, not enough to like really make a difference. But first, like, because he was in World Juniors before the season started, and then he fractured his wrist. So that was his first like training camp into a season. So yeah, it was. Did Doc was he injured at all? Did he get away clean?
I think he did. I don't think there was any.
So Landeskog is lucky that there is no injury to Doc, and I think he got away with 2 games. Just my opinion.
I agree. Last thing I want to mention here, hockey wise. So NHL on ESPN started this week. They had their first games on Tuesday with Pittsburgh and Tampa, Seattle, Vegas. Wednesday was the NHL on TNT first night. Wayne Gretzky was in the house. Charles Barkley was in the house. Paul missed the net was in the house. What were your thoughts on both ESPN and TNT's first games in the new NHL US contract?
I'll be honest, Ian, I didn't really catch much of it.
Well, that's great.
You would have better insight on it because it seems like you do. But I mean, I don't mind the idea of it. I follow a guy from TikTok, and he is very active on Instagram, and he said that the first night was absolutely horrible for TNT because all they did was circle jerk Gretzky, and he said if that's what it's going to be, then this is going to be a horrible season because there's like very little insight on actual gameplay, and it was just like talking about Gretzky's like career, which is like not really the point of an intermission.
Well, it's like the Brian Burke effect when he was in Sportsnet, where Brian Burke was like, "Hey, did I tell you about when I drafted the Sedins for like the 16th time?" And it's like, we get it.
I had Morgan Rielly ranked number 1 overall in his draft, but other GMs didn't. And it's
Nail Yakupov was the worst interview I ever had.
Yeah, exactly. I almost fought him in the draft interview, but yeah, I hope that it's a success because I think bringing different angles to the league and how it's looked at, and it kind of can bring in different demographics and different fans. It can help grow the game, but I just hope they don't botch it. Just like be new, but don't be like so new that it just like turns people away.
It alienates everyone. I'm waiting for like the NHL AEW like Sidney Crosby, Chris Jericho collab that, we're all just waiting for like hockey players to do wrestling and then wrestlers to do hockey. I think that's what we're all waiting for with the Turner collab.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
Who wouldn't want to see an NHL Royal Rumble? And, everybody's like, that's Ryan Reeves' music. And he's like, Tom Wilson just looks at him like, oh shit.
Oh, that would be unreal.
Well, that's all we got for the show. Jevon, got a few moments here if you want to plug anything, promote your podcast or any cool projects you got going on.
Well, first of all, Ian, thank you for having me on once again. I always enjoy coming on and talking shop with you. This was a very fun episode, but you can catch my show, Left Side Heavy, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Follow the Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Left Side Heavy _. I'm starting to be more active on TikTok, maybe doing some like posting clips from episodes and then doing like 82-0 challenges. Like I'm gonna try and do a little bit more hockey content on there. And then I have a YouTube channel, Left Side Heavy. I post full episode podcasts on there. And yeah, a subscribe would go a long way. But you don't really need my personal info. You can find that through the podcast. But yeah, Left Side Heavy _ on all platforms. And YouTube Left Side Heavy.
I work for the Everett Silvertips, right?
Yeah.
And we don't actually have like our own TikTok. Like we're just getting started on that because just with how the timing worked out, we just didn't have TikTok and nobody to run it. And one of the first things I did was just like say to one of my coworkers, like, how would you like to just do the TikTok page for the Silver Tips? Just you do the TikTok, you do it. And she's like, are you sure? And it's just like, yeah, you know what? You can just do TikTok. I mean, you can do a bunch of other stuff too, but it's like, I'm giving you the sole purpose because I just don't want to be bothered with TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my thing, although I do like, seeing other people's I like, spying on other people's content and, just, seeing what, great workout exercises people are doing or, what's a good TikTok trend now? Oh, this one, the way the back is, fucking, that one's good.
What? Yeah.
And then girls are just like grabbing guys' asses as a result, pretty much.
Yeah. It's amazing how comfortable some people can be on that app. It's
really disturbing in a way.
It's like the meme or whatever where it's like, okay, that's enough internet for today. Like, that's my sign to go to bed. Or, do you know what? Maybe I should get back to the assignment that's due in a few hours. Like, maybe I should, like, this is my sign to get off the app and, like, completely disengage myself from my phone, throw it across the room, and then actually do what I paid thousands of dollars to do this semester. It's like TikTok gets to that where it's like almost the algorithm sets it up. It's like, hey, bro, you've been on here long enough. We're going to throw some real, like,
Some whack shit at you.
some crazy shit on your timeline to like, okay, I should go to bed. It's 2:30 in the morning. I got in bed at 12 and it's like 2 o'clock and it's like, I've really just been doing this. My screen time is in like the double digits hours and I'm like, it's bad. But
Well, and then you were just watching Addison Rae TikToks or something like that.
I mean, if my girlfriend's listening, I don't. I watch hockey content, but if
Yeah.
she's not listening, then I dabble.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's just like, for all the girls listening, I just watch baseball. Like it's just baseball content, right? Like home runs and such.
Yeah.
And then, if they aren't listening, who knows?
Yeah.
That's why there's a delete history, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jevon, thanks for taking the time to do this, man. It's greatly appreciated. Be sure to check out our stuff. You know the routine. We'll be back again soon with some NBA previews with SYP Creator Fuji. Until then, we'll be back soon. Peace out.